welcome to another episode of Smecco Connects. I'm Sonia Cox, here with my co-host, Tom Dennison. And this week, our guest is Allison Drury, and we're focusing on women in leadership. And I'm going to ask Allison to introduce herself and give us a little bit about her background.
Hi, I'm Allison Drury. I'm the CEO of CAD Industries, mom of two, and running a underground utility construction business.
So what did you do before?
Before I owned CAD Industries, I was a federal government employee. I was the lead information systems security manager, ISSM, for all the combat systems in the Navy. It's a background in cybersecurity, another male-dominated field. Prior to that, I was a contractor supporting the same type of work. In fact, when I was in high school, I was in the computer networking class at the tech center, and I was the only woman in the class. So I've kind of hovered in male-dominated fields.
Well, that's okay. You're doing good. Tell us about a little bit about your company and how it got started.
Sure. So CAD Industries focuses on underground utility construction. So we do concrete encased duct banks. We do directional drilling. We set manholes. We pull wire. We terminate wire. We do anything electrical wise. We also do a little bit of communication work. So typically it's whenever we're installing for electric, a lot of times communication goes in at the same time. We also terminate fiber, splice fiber. We just completed like 4 or 5 parks for St. Mary's County IT department where we've put up all the security cameras. So if you go to the parks and see the security cameras and the pole bases, we did all of that work turnkey.
That's wonderful. Allison, did you grow up in St. Mary's County? And kind of tell us a little bit about, growing up. Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you go to college?
Sure. I was born and raised in St. Mary's County. I grew up in a small town called Bushwood.
I think Bushwood's 73 and sunny every day.
You are correct.
Yeah,
that's God's country.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to Chopticon High School. I started college and then did not finish college. I guess made it a personal idea that I was going to show that I didn't have to get a bachelor's degree to become a GS-14 with the government. Wow. And I was able to do that.
That's amazing. So how long were you with the federal government before you transitioned to CAD Industries?
So CAD Industries was started in 2022. However, I was still working for the government full time and then growing the business. But I left the government in May of 2024. Okay. So it's been almost exactly a year since I quit.
Yeah, and I just have to wonder, what was it that kind of inspired you to get into the underground utility business? I mean, I'm a father of 2 daughters, and so anytime I see a woman CEO, it's very inspiring, I know, to them, inspiring to me. So why underground utilities and why now?
Sure. As you both know, my husband worked for Smecco, and just hearing him talk about how they were not able to get like good quality contractors that were doing underground work is part of the reason why we knew that there was a need for it. And then not only that, prior to CAD Industries, we had Drury Landscape Services, and Chris was doing a lot of the like trenching work for local electricians. So we knew that there was a need for it. And I don't know, I have this mindset of like, if you want to do something, you can literally do anything. If you put your mind to it, it'll happen. So
it's very inspiring.
So what does CAD stand for?
Sure. So my name's Allison. My husband's name is Chris. I have 2 boys, Cameron and Caden. Our last name is Drury. So if you just slam all that together, you got CAD Industries.
Wow.
You just had some exciting news happen. You've moved to a new location. You rebranded. Do you want to talk a little bit about those things?
Sure. So when we first started CAD Industries, yours truly decided to become a marketing expert and made my own logo. It was not very good. So about a year into the business, I finally hired a marketing company to come in to rebrand us. So that's finally completely done. So everything is now like prim and proper and is consistent across everything that we have. I wanted to have that national brand look. I mean, I know that like it's me and my husband and we live in Hollywood, but
Yeah.
but I wanted that like national brand look. So, whenever you see, what national branding is, it's like when you see something of a certain color, you immediately think of what it is. That's what we wanted. What was your other question? Sorry.
You moved to a new location?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we moved from, I called it the trash place. We moved from sharing our office with a dumpster business, literally,
Okay.
to Airport View Drive in Hollywood. We've got a nice big building and a huge yard, finally.
More secure.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We're not sharing with the trash people.
So talk about your boys and how you balance work and family life.
That is probably the biggest thing that I struggle with. Owning a business and being responsible for a lot is very hard to balance that when you've got, right now we're in the season of graduating from pre-K 4 and we're coming to the end of school and we got to transition to full-time daycare. And to be completely honest, I do not a very great job of balancing. I'm not there a lot, but at the same time, I've got 2 boys that love their dad, and he steps in every time that we actually need him.
And how old are your boys?
5 and 3.
Excellent. Excellent. I'd tell you that it's going to get easier, but it doesn't. And your time is always the most precious resource you have. And I just know I have a daughter who's graduating high school this year and another daughter who's a sophomore. And it's constant. I mean, whether it's, you dealing with pre-K into school ending, for me, it's one's graduating high school, going to college in the fall, and one's about to get her driver's license. So there's always these new adventures that happen. But just to get back to the business, Allison, what is like the biggest challenge that you all, I mean, I know you haven't been around for a long time, but what's kind of the biggest challenge you all face?
I think being a newer company makes it very challenging when you go to, pre-bid meetings and you're trying to partner with GCs and they don't know who you are.
Mhm.
And then me showing up as a woman is another piece that I'm usually the only one there. And now it's not just me. I've got our operations coordinator. Her name is Jenny. She's also a woman. She goes to these pre-bid meetings and, in the beginning it was like, oh, it's just because I'm a woman. But I think, me being a woman and a new business on top of it has made it really challenging.
But also though, I know SMECO, we have a minority business program, and we have an agreement with our Public Service Commission that 25% of our spend is to be with minority-owned businesses, women-owned, veteran-owned, African-American-owned. So how do you kind of navigate that space? I mean, do you sort of make that a key part of your marketing to companies like SMECO and others that you do work with?
Absolutely. I think SMECO's in my situation's in a different bucket compared to all the other work that we do for other GCs.
Sure.
I don't really see the oh, you're a woman thing with SMECO at all. They know who we are. We've consistently shown up and done good work. So
Right.
that hasn't been a problem. But trying to get in with new GCs, I don't know that it's necessarily that we're a woman. I really think it's because we're a newer business.
Mhm.
You did have to go through the certification though with the state for the minority.
I did. Yes, I got certified through Maryland Department of Transportation. That's who owns the certifying authority. So I did that, and then I also got woman-owned small business certified through the federal level through sam.gov. And that was really challenging. I had to get in front of the board 3 separate times. because they want to make sure whoever they're saying is owning the business and is actually operating the business.
Mhm.
They
And
got
understands the business.
yeah, they got down to like, are you actually out there operating the equipment? I'm like, if I'm doing that, then there's something wrong.
Mhm.
But if I have to, I will. If we get a delivery and I don't have somebody there, like I'm jumping on the skid loader and I'm unloading a pallet, it's I'll whatever.
Right.
I'm not the most efficient, but I'll do it.
Right, but I think that shows that there's abuse in the system
Mhm.
where there would be companies that have a front person just to try to land contracts and things like that. So it's, I mean, I know from Smecco's perspective, the fact that you help us meet our minority business goal, plus you're local, I mean, is also a big deal, because I think that was always an issue that we had, trying to find local contractors to do. And bottom line is they got to be able to perform.
Right.
And if they can't do that, we're not going to hire somebody just based on
Right.
who their CEO is, if you will. So, so having said that, where do you see your company going in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a good question. My goal is to stretch out across the East Coast as much as I possibly can.
Okay.
We've done a lot of work in Maryland. We do a lot in Washington, D.C., a lot in Northern Virginia, but we really want to expand into Southern Virginia, the Carolinas, and then up further north.
You did have some work in New York. at one
We
point.
have gotten emergency work. We went up to New York. There was a 20 or 120 acre solar farm,
Okay.
and there were like wetlands, so we had to bore a whole bunch of pipeline in for them, and that was like an emergency situation.
And you're doing some work right now for the National Zoo, right?
Yep, we're working at the DC National Zoo. We just completed all the medium voltage duct bank. We set a manhole, and now we're working on like some feeds to feed like the new barns that they're building. We're working at the Renew Cheetah Conservation Station. So if you go to the zoo, you'll see that part's closed right now. The cheetahs are gone too, in case you were worried.
How many people do you have working at the company?
We have 13 full time.
And I mean, that's have you found that labor has been an issue? I know that certain jobs here at Smecco are difficult to fill. Have you started to experience that yet?
Oh, absolutely. I think the best advice I have for anybody that's trying to hire is get your good people to refer other good people. Those
Okay.
have been the best employees that we have hired, have been referrals. Unfortunately, people just, apply and then you do what you can. You're fact checking them against the references and getting references and 3 levels deep, and even still it just doesn't work.
What's the hardest part of your job?
I think managing the people.
Yeah, I mean, I think having to terminate people is difficult, even if they're not performing. I think that's probably one of the hardest things. I would think. I don't enjoy doing it. Not that I've had to do it very much, thank goodness.
Since we're such a small company, we know our employees. We know their wives or their girlfriends, or we know their kids. Like we're very tight knit, and it is very hard to let somebody go, especially if we know that it's not really working out. It's like, oh, I just want to give them a second chance, but I have to put that business hat on of like, if this is not working and it's hurting the business, I have got to make a change. I can't just keep letting it happen just because we like them.
Right.
Obviously, a huge challenge. So when you started the business, what was kind of your biggest purchase? Or, what was that first thing you guys had to have so you could hit the ground and start making money?
Well, now that we're in this deeper,
Yeah.
I can finally admit we started bidding on directional drilling work without having a drill yet.
Okay.
And then we got 2 directional drill jobs. The first drill job that I had was in Leesburg, Virginia. And I remember we went to the pre-construction meeting and we left that pre-construction meeting and drove to Michigan to pick up our drill.
Wow. That's small business, right? I mean, that's what happens.
And I had a 3-month-old in the car seat, and I took him with us the entire way. Caden has been on the ride ever since.
For you, that's amazing.
That's great. You're building.
Now, of course, I never told the company we were working for, like, yeah, we haven't even bought the drill yet, and we're just gonna go get. But you know what? We got the job done.
I was just gonna say, did you get it done? And yeah, they didn't know whose it was. If it was CAD Industries or one that you rented or whatever.
And that's like our tagline in our office that you'll see through our open house that we're doing is the power to get it done. That is like the thing that we hone ourselves in on is we have the power to get it done. If you need something done, we got it.
I liked your banner at the she participated this weekend as a vendor at the Gap and Go.
Excellent.
In Virginia, and I liked your tagline. It's woman owned and woman led. So.
And I think that I try to separate ourselves from our competition that are woman-owned or minority-owned in general. A lot of times you have the owner and, oh, they're out in Barbados, you know, not really running the business. Like, I'm hands-on. I know what's going on at every job. I go visit their jobs. Like, now I don't spend all of my time there, but I have a good idea of, like, what is going on everywhere. And if I need to step in, it's not, you know, me playing catch-up to try to get into it. And I realize it won't always be like that. For right now, it works well, and that's how I like it.
Did you have a mentor or somebody who, like when you first decided you wanted to get into this business, did you have somebody that you depended on and could reach out to and ask questions and, you know, that helped you get started?
Absolutely. And I told him I was going to say his name on here, and he didn't say anything, but BJ Peterson actually was the biggest mentor I had. I like clearly remember the day. It was like in July of 2022. I already started branding the company and kind of putting together our business plan. And my husband, Chris, introduced me to him. He's also the owner of Stormwater Management, been there, dumped that. You guys are in this area. You probably know who I'm talking about. We sat down and he started just flooding me with information, and I was like, I didn't know any of this. And ever since that day that we met, I could call him at any time and ask him, like, how do I hire more people? And his answer to me was, get your good people to refer other good people. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I have been taught, even down to like how to bid jobs and organize ourselves so that it makes it easier for when we actually go to perform the job after we bid a job. I mean, he taught me all of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was one thing I was wondering. How do you come up, you know, how do you come up with your pricing and all that stuff? It seems like it is a difficult, or not difficult, but I don't know, you know, technical. It seems like it would be a technical type of thing to try to figure out.
In the very, very beginning, I was just kind of throwing numbers at it to see what would stick. But I mean, when you look at a job, you've got to break it down to like different tasks. And now that we're a couple years into this, we know how long it's going to take them to do whatever it is. So it makes it easy to figure out how much it would cost, because we know what it costs to have them there, and then what the materials cost. You add that all together, and there you go.
Do you get called for a lot of emergency work, or is it most of it just planned stuff?
The only emergency work that we've gotten is the stuff up in New York, and then when we have emergencies for SMECO.
Okay.
The majority of it's all planned federal government work.
And I know you said you wanted to get into Virginia. I had one of the CEOs that was there email me and said he stopped by and picked up your materials, and so hopefully that was a good place for you to get introduced to some people.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. So I know you talked about some of the key things, that mottos you live by: hire the people, good people refer to you. What would be your message to young women out there who may want to be CEO, who may be happy with being a federal government GS-14. I mean, that's an amazing job right there. But then to go to a CEO, I know you said if you want to do it, go do it. Is it as simple as that?
Literally, that is as simple as that. I fully believe, like, if you really want something and you focus on it, and every decision that you're making, you remind yourself every day what you're actually working towards, it will happen. I'm very big into mindset and manifesting what you want.
I think it's a great message.
Yes, it is.
It's a great message. I think, like I said, having two daughters, I just think about what they're going to do and how they fit in and everything. And I think the inspiration that, Sonia being our first woman CEO at Smecco, and then, you leading an underground utility company as a young woman, I think shows a lot of probably high school, college aged females that they, what's possible. And there's no magic elixir, there's no special degree, it's mindset. And I think it's a big deal.
And I guess the other thing that really taught me about how your mindset really impacts like where you go and how you're going to move through life is back when I was in high school, I used to sell Herbalife.
Okay.
And they did a lot of what was called personal development. So I'd listen to people like Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and it I don't know if you've ever listened to them before, but I would just, instead of listening to music in the car, I just listened to them talk. And that really has transformed my life, to say the least.
What do you think made you start at such a young age wanting to better yourself or because I have a story, but I don't know your story.
I don't have a good answer to that question. I've just always been extremely driven.
Okay. Do you get it from your parents or?
I think so.
Okay.
Although my mom's pretty quiet and timid. My dad always kind of wanted to go out and do his own thing, but was never financially able to do it. And then I know that financially is a lot of the reason why we, drove. I would never want to be in a bad financial situation. Not that my parents went through that, but I saw it with other people that we were friends with or kids I went to school with. And I was like, that will not be us.
Yes. That's the scary part. There was a time when I admire you for doing it, especially at, way back starting in high school. But I remember before I got the job here at Smecco, I thought I wanted to start my own business, and I tried it as a CPA. But then it was just the thing that I was scared about was, not having that known paycheck coming in and the benefits that go along with that and all that. So it just it wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I thought I could do. So anyway, I think we all have different strengths, and being an entrepreneur was not one of mine. But I certainly admire you for that. It's funny that your mentor is a man. So was mine. But Joe Slater was, he was a great CEO. He was the CEO here before me, and he really encouraged me to go after this position, and he was very supportive. So I really appreciated that. And I think I would love to say that I had a female that was an inspiration to me or a mentor, but I didn't really, and I don't know that there are a lot of those around. But I think that the more we can support each other as women, the better off that we are, instead of trying to compete with each other. Just be there as a support system. And I hope that I'm there for you when you need somebody to talk to.
Definitely are.
When you think about the one thing that keeps you going in the business, what is that?
Well, we're in too deep now. No, you were talking about the whole paycheck scary thing. I used to say to my mentor all the time, I'm like, I don't know how you did that. How did you just walk away from a 9 to 5 and say, you know what, I'm just gonna go earn it for myself. It's definitely scary, keeps me up at night sometimes. It's definitely getting better. The biggest thing he said to me was, you need to manage your cash flow. Don't don't underestimate the power of managing your cash flow.
Yeah, don't overextend yourself, all that good stuff.
But it's still something that like we've gotten better with, but I'm not fully like relaxed where I'm gonna just go disappear, you know?
And I know you had some equipment stolen. Did you ever find, did it ever show up?
No.
They were doing a job down here where they're building it was the Royal Farms, right?
No, it was Mount Wolf Road.
Oh.
Yeah. But one of my employees called or texted me actually at like 10 o'clock in the morning, was like, it's really not helpful not having the excavator here. I was like, what?
What happened?
And I called him and he's like, it's not here. And I was like, what do you mean it's not there? He's like, it's gone. I was like, he's like, did someone come get it? And I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh.
So I filed a police report and they saw nothing on video footage. It was raining that night. So apparently, maybe I shouldn't say that, but cameras don't work in the rain.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's gone. But luckily our insurance was great, which I've never heard anybody say before, but they cut us a check within 3 days.
Wonderful.
So I was able to buy a brand new machine.
That's great.
Yeah, those kinds of things too. Since you mentioned insurance, I don't know that people think about that, but there's a lot of overhead in running a business, and those types of things that you have to have. What like insurance and benefits and rent and all those things, utilities, all that stuff has to come into play when you're bidding on something.
Oh yes. Yeah, you have to allow for a burden rate. I kind of take our employees like labor rates, and when they're adding our burden into them, I calculated like how much the rent's costing and their health insurance, and our like business insurance just like tripled itself because we expanded so much last year.
And you have expensive equipment that has to be insured. So
been trying to get our hands on the equipment. We wanted to replace that drill that I went to Michigan and bought. So trying to get our hands on a replacement machine had been a little challenging, but we were able to find one. So we bought we had a Vermeer 2330 and we just bought a Vermeer 2440.
Okay.
Good.
That's great. Well, like I always say, Sonia, these podcasts are very educational for me, whether we're talking about, before we talked about gentleman from the health department in St. Mary's was talking about mental health, and now we're talking about women in leadership, and it's very inspiring. And whether we're talking to a Smecco employee who may have been here for 35 years or, a young CEO, it's a really good thing. And I hope our viewers recognize it and enjoy it as well. So it's been a really good podcast.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.